What does it take to hire at volume successfully? Hello and welcome to the Boostara Podcast. I am your host, James. On the Boostara Podcast, we speak to leaders in business and education and uncover the truths and insights from their amazing experiences. At Boostara, we help businesses boost growth, cut costs, and gain better business insights through strategic AI solutions. If you'd like to learn more about how we can help you, please type the word growth into the comments below and I'll be sure to reach out. Today, we are joined by the amazing Jared Massey, Talent Acquisition Director at Amberjack. Hello, Jared. Welcome.
Hi, James, and thanks for the invite.
You're very, very welcome, Jared. Where are you calling us from today?
I'm actually in Newbury, which is where Amberjack's main offices are. In the EMEA region. So, it's weather's good here, better than where I'm from, which is in Manchester, which is always raining.
I was going to say, I can see the sun poking through through the window. I was thinking, is it somewhere exotic, somewhere at least sunnier? No. Well, Jared, for those of our listeners that are not familiar with yourself, not familiar with Amberjack and what Amberjack do, could you just run us through, your journey through recruitment and what took you to Amberjack and your position there at the moment?
Yeah, so I've been in recruitment for way over 20 years, probably 26, 27 years now. Started, like many people have, in agency, and I've worked in-house as well, in senior leadership, and also RPO or total talent solution type companies where there's an outsource involved. So I've mainly worked on the operations and solution side, and done that at many of the big RPO names, and recently joined Amberjack, who are very well known in the early careers and volume space, in recruitment process outsourcing. And what brought me here is I really thrive in an environment with an incredible culture, obviously that are successful, which Amberjack Global definitely are. But equally, what's quite unique about Amberjack is their offering with incredibly talented people, but backed up by their own proprietary technology. They've got some amazing products that they integrate into our solutions for our clients. We use external products as well, so it just all comes together with the people, our own technology, outside technology to deliver incredible services, especially in that space.
I'm going to ask you more on the tech and the AI side of things as we go on, but I just want to draw upon what you said there about the amazing culture within Amberjack itself, which I think is quite, whenever I hear that from someone, it brings a bit of a smile upon my face as someone who's previously worked hard in companies to improve the culture, improve the atmosphere, improve the overall experience for the the employees within house. And I think within recruitment, you always like to think that you are sending candidates to places where they're also going to thrive as well, right? And I guess the question is, Amberjack, what makes Amberjack special to work at?
Yeah, and look, it's really, really simple things. Recruitment is really, really simple things. Get the basics right at a very high level. So is the people culture thing, but easy said than done to create that. The simple things which I think are key is that from the very top downwards, it's you feel part of the company. So that means top level communication. What is the mission that we're trying to achieve? What's the reason why we are doing certain things? And then that is talked about in a positive way throughout the organisation from top downwards. I've had very large teams underneath me specifically before now, and I always hire on attitude.
Yeah.
I've seen some incredible recruiters out there, incredible leaders out there, but maybe the ego, the way they are, doesn't quite fit into the culture. I like to think that we hire people absolutely with skills and talent, but they've got the right attitude where they want to be at one in achieving our goals, want to help each other, share, collaborate, challenge, absolutely challenge, but we spend a lot of time at work, so let's work hard, let's collaborate nicely together, and ultimately have some fun along the way as well.
Yeah. It's definitely the top-down approach. It's got to come from the highest level, and I don't know whether you think this is maybe controversial, but it maybe fits in well with who you hire for as well. Customer first or staff first? I was always taught to put your staff first, put your employees above your customers. Why? Because if you're treating your employees well, if you're treating your staff well, if you're giving them a future, if you're creating a really good working environment for them and they feel happy and valued, that's going to trickle down to your customers. Don't know whether that's controversial or not, but
I tend to agree. You 100% do. I'd probably have them even, to be honest. Your sentiment is absolutely right. I think if you work on your team being happy and they've got a purpose and all aligned to that purpose, then that translates directly in the clients, and very much the messaging on, well, how do you like to be treated as an employee, but also in the external world when you're a customer. What does that look like? What does the best service look like when you're having services yourself? Well, make sure you portray that into the client, and again, quite simple things, making sure that communication is constant and intuitive, and making sure that people, it's a partnership rather than a supplier-client situation wherever possible.
Yeah, absolutely. With the client in mind, I mean, what trends are you seeing within the volume recruitment space? Especially, how are things kind of changing over the years?
Yeah, it's forever changing. Again, the fundamentals of how you deal with things remain the same, but obviously there's a change in jobs for a start. So there's a lot of new jobs which are appearing, even in the volume space. The skills that people are looking for is definitely changing. Obviously, the people themselves are changing, with the gen stuff, lots written about it. But, it's fact that people expect different things, and you need to react to that. The applications in many cases with volume recruitment is going up. One, because of obviously, there's in some areas there's a lack of opportunities, so lots and lots of people are going for the same job. But equally, of course, the unfortunate bit of AI, if you like, is candidates are using AI to just apply for things en masse when actually they're not necessarily interested in those roles. So, there's a number of things which are changing, and you've got to be on top of it, and you've got to be on top of it again with a mix of technology, but making sure that the people element is in there as well.
And what is the biggest challenge when it comes to recruiting on volume? Is it the time sort of speed element of you've got to fill 50 roles, 50 positions within X amount of time? Is that the biggest challenge that you face?
That's always been a challenge. I've been part of volume recruitment in one guise or other. Most of my recruitment career, working for big names, quite often thousands of hires a year in Bupa, in Saint-Gobain, in Primark, etc., etc., etc. And the fundamentals remain the same. That there's always pressure on. You've got to fill roles in a certain time period, and it's all about the funnel and the metrics. You've got to be all over your numbers. All the other recruitment strategy remains the same, like as like really niche roles as volume hiring. But the difference with volume hiring is the funnel, is the numbers, and making sure you're on track all the way. You're very, very well organised. So that still remains the same as it did years ago. I think the difference now is the candidate experience is probably going downhill a little bit, and if anything, candidates expect more these days. So I'm seeing a trend where some companies are treating the candidates less and less with regards to a good experience, but the expectations is going up. So to manage that, this is where the opportunity is absolutely you can use technology, not just AI, just technology, to help streamline the process, make sure that the candidates are engaged without having to have hundreds and hundreds of recruiters on it. It can, deal with a lot of the admin. It can deal with a lot of the funneling. It can deal with a lot of the messaging. But then that gives the recruiters more time to deal with the real sort of added value, which is making sure the candidates feel loved, even if they are rejected. They do get proper feedback after interview and in a timely manner. And equally, the clients and the hiring managers, even if you're in-house or RPO, the hiring manager is a customer. So making sure that they are fully aware of what's going on and they get a great experience throughout the process as well as candidates. So always have the people element in there, because, for me currently, and hopefully it doesn't change, AI can't replace the human when it comes to the human touch with regards to people.
Yeah, and I think as well, what you mentioned there with the funnel process, that hasn't changed. If anything, with the better tech out there, is you can more accurately see, or a finer detail the data that you've got within your funnel, and then taking that helicopter view to be able to see, where are the problems, and then where can we adjust things like the expectations of the candidates, or too many candidates applying with AI and they're not interested. How can we then adjust and change?
Exactly.
Make sure that runs smoothly.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So it's obviously managing the numbers effectively and quickly, but you're seeing data all the time to make sure that you can tweak things. It might be tweak the advert. It might be there's a lot of dropout rates. There's all sorts of things that you can do with the technology, which we do to ensure that some of the problem areas are automatically dealt with, such as the same person applying for 20 jobs. Well, it picks it up immediately. It can pick up if they've used AI for their application, but not necessarily in a bad way. I think more companies, rather than saying, oh well, that candidate's using AI for their application, that's a bad thing. There's scenarios and examples out there where AI is here to stay, and so how are people using that AI to do certain scenarios in their application? Probably through some tests, and we're looking at that at the moment, and they're getting marked on that rather than getting penalised on that. So, there's all sorts of things going on. I think the biggest thing for us is making sure that we support our clients through the journey, because everyone's thought process on AI, but recruitment in general is different. So it's tailoring them to, look, this is what's going to happen here. It seems what you need here. This is how we're going to go about it here. And just make sure everyone is comfortable with that, whether that's be the legal team, the finance team, the operations team, etc., etc.
When you take a company, say that's growing, they've bridged that gap between being a sort of small, medium-sized enterprise to a larger one. And they suddenly find, we've got this position. It's not 2 or 3 positions we need to fill for this roles for this particular position, but now suddenly we need 10, 20, 30. And they come to yourself. What are those common misconceptions they might have about hiring at volume when they've never done it before, when they've suddenly found themselves of that size and of that need?
Yeah, and look, it is. There's many reasons why companies might outsource their recruitment in some guise, whether as a whole or just part of, and one of those reasons can be because of fluctuating volumes. They're hit all of a sudden, and they don't have more often than not, they don't really going to have the flexible resource to be able to deal with those high volumes, or just generally, for the next year or two, they see fluctuations in volume, so almost outsource some of it or all of it, because they let the outsource take the risk of all of that rather than us hiring people, but then we don't need them. So if there's a situation where they don't understand what that means and how we go about it, I suppose the advantage of an outsource is they will already have the technology available to be able to deal with volume hiring, or any type of hiring, to be honest. We're not just talking about volume hiring here. They will have the technology in ready, because they do it over multiple clients that they've got those partnerships already set up, but equally they've got the resource already there. Again, not only do they have recruiters galore because of the clients they've got, quite often, and including us, we have flexible resource in our centres of excellence, which can be at hand to deal with those volumes. I suppose it's just, and don't get me wrong, a lot of companies know how to do volume recruitment themselves, even when they get hit with stuff. Of course they do. There's some incredible in-house recruitment teams out there, but where there isn't, we just know what we're doing. We've been doing it for years, and like I said, it's not just me who knows how to do it. We all know how to do it, and we work as one to make sure it happens for our clients.
Yeah, like you said, if you're a big company and you're being hit by this, that, and the other kind of problem, it can just be easier just to have it taken off your plate. Like, help us deal with this one issue, especially when you're on the list.
Absolutely, and and rather than necessarily, we'll do that for years and years and years to come, have those sensible conversations to say, okay, what we can do is we'll pick up this hit now, because there's all sorts going on in your company. We will make sure it's delivered to the very high standard, but then we can help you bring it back in-house at the right time. Rather than thinking, we're losing business, we won't do that. Of course we would do that, because we want to set them up for success, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned, Jared, a number. You said 25 years in recruitment.
I was trying to work it out then. Actually, it's probably slightly less. It's probably 23 years. Basically, I'm old.
Experienced, right? Experienced.
Yeah.
You've seen a change in the industry, a change in the use of technology, and you've mentioned tech and AI a few times there. What do you see the impact of AI specifically, but just generally more advanced technology having on the way that we recruit, specifically within the industry, the space that you work in?
Again, I know I mentioned it earlier, but the biggest thing for me, and maybe it is because I'm old, but I'm such a great believer in stakeholder management, and stakeholder management happens at all layers. It's our sources, it's our recruiters, it's our recruitment partners, it's our leaders, making sure that they deliver consultative stakeholder management, high touch stakeholder management to not only our clients but to our candidates and internally as well. Well, the only way, certainly recruiters are asked to do so much these days. They've got to be an amazing analyst, an amazing manager, they've got to be an amazing marketeer, etc., etc., etc. Well, how do they have time to deliver the consultative stakeholder management? Well, that's through, more than ever, let's get AI, but good AI and quality assessed by humans constantly to get rid of a lot of the admin, a lot of the monotonous work, still ensuring, though, that it gives the best experience across the board, so that the recruiters, who are always going to be needed in my world anyway, to deliver consultative stakeholder management, but then they can use technology to help them with delivering consultative stakeholder as well. By the technology these days is getting better and better when it comes to market intelligence, to giving really great MI on a constant basis, and not just go, oh, well, here's some stats. What do these stats mean?
Yeah.
Where can we go with this to improve things further? It's not just about recruiting people. We need to recruit talent for you that are going to make a difference to your organisation.
I really like what you said there on stakeholder management, that phrase, because that's just showing, in terms of the higher leverage communication, whether that be your staff to clients or your staff to candidates, that is the most important thing that you can be doing. Within a recruitment firm, right? No matter what size you are or what kind of niche you're in, that is the thing that makes you in terms of your quality customer service and the quality, the output that you're giving. And anything that's not that, we can say lower leverage or administrative type duties. Those are the things that we want to be putting AI through. We want to be handing off to AI or handing off to workflow. But those stakeholder management type conversations, those are things that you can't replace. They should not be replaced, and because they define you as an organisation and you as a customer serving face.
Yeah, 100%, and equally, giving us time to continuously improve. I'm never going to say we do everything perfectly. We don't. But we're always looking to improve as individuals and as a team, and having that space to think, okay, well, what other technology could we bring in, but equally what other people processes could we bring in. A really interesting concept, which I just think is going to hit off big time, that Amberjack do really well, but are progressing at pace on how we do this, is the aftermath of recruitment, especially in the early careers and volume space, is these people coming through university or college or whatever it is. They're incredibly switched on characters, and they've there's all this AI going on, etc. But it's such a big jump from education to working life.
Yeah.
And equally, the organisations they're joining might not have the capability or certainly time to be able to make sure that they're okay. Are they dealing with life after? It's just right. Well, these are the systems that you need to learn, and this is how we work as an organisation. Good onboarding still happening, hopefully, but then what about everything else? What about all the feelings that might be going on and the insecurities, because that happens in life full stop more than ever now. Well, if they go into the workplace straight from, which is completely different, all those insecurities could be manifesting all the time. Big one for me is the imposter syndrome and stuff. But you could go on and on and on. How do you manage upwards? Well, you can't ask your manager of how do I manage upwards. There's just so much things, but we've got products which are so easy to use, where that's on hand for the candidate for 3 months afterwards, 6 months, even 12 months afterwards, depending on what people want. And I think that's definitely something that hopefully will happen more in the workplace, whether that be via an outsource or indeed internally. It's so very, very important, because I think the divide from school, college, university to the workplace, especially in some industries, is getting wider and wider.
Yeah. I can very much relate to that when I've seen younger members of staff join organisations I've worked at previously, and absolutely nothing wrong age range. You can have extremely mature, intelligent, well-skilled 17, 18, 19-year-olds, which we're seeing just the other day. I met a 19-year-old business owner. He's been a business owner for the past 2 years. His company's reached up to 500,000. He's speaking all around the country. He's way beyond his years, right? But you have to remember that experience does take time for a lot of people, and it's not something, not everyone is going to be like that. People, whenever they join a new organisation, no matter their age, they need a bit of settling in time. They need that mentorship. They need to be checked in on that they're okay. They know that this is the right direction that they're going on. Just simple culture and looking after someone, no matter what age they are, but especially younger generations that have less work experience. They've got nothing to compare this present experience to, and when they don't have anything to compare it to, that they can be often quite lost in is this all okay? Is this normal? Is this right?
100%. And it's relevant for many other types of people as well. If you think about it, we need to open the doors up to different situations, and it has been going on for years, but not enough. Like sort of working mums, people who've been looking after their children and dads as well, children, for a number of years, but now they want to get back into the workplace. Well, they've got the life experience, they've got the experience, but how can we make sure that they feel comfortable in going back to the workplace? Because the workplace has changed. Probably, maybe the last time that they worked, they were in 5 days a week. Well, might not be that they're in the office at all now. So how do you adapt to that? And if there's things that they can use on the outside rather than relying on their manager and HR all the time, as many tools to help them feel comfortable, the better.
And that's a level of extra support that you provide candidates, you said, over
absolutely, and so easy to use as well. And I just think it's a real point of difference, which I think could and should grow in organisations. That it's just one less thing for, I suppose, the organisation to worry about. But interestingly, and more to the point, so impactful for those people coming into the workplace.
I've got to ask you, Jared, because I spied a filing cabinet behind you. I think it's a filing cabinet. Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yes.
Which to me shouts, oh, there's paper records, there's paper things, right? So I'm going to ask you, kind of going back to AI. Is there a part of your current operations, the way that Amberjack works, that if you could automate, you could bring in some kind of AI technology, whether it exists or it doesn't exist, that if that one thing could be taken over, what would have the kind of biggest impact, within your operations, but it could be sort of more generally within recruitment?
Good point. Because we use AI quite a lot, it's very difficult to pinpoint something else that we would like to use. I can't answer that, I'm afraid.
I think you've already kind of mentioned this. The one thing that within recruitment we can't take away to AI is the conversations, right?
100%.
That has to remain, because that builds trust with the clients. It develops the relationship, and then with the candidates, importantly as well, is the trust. It's the you feel confident and comfortable with the position that you're going into, and you're supported 3 months after you join as well, that you have a human that you can interact with, whatever need you have. The other things around it, I guess, whether it's finding the candidates, finding the customers, data entry, keeping everything within a CRM, those are all of the kinds of things that might have 20 years ago had us reaching here, there and everywhere for bits of paper, and it's in this file and that file, to now where we can consolidate everything and keep it all in sort of one organised place.
Yeah, again, pretty much every single bit of what you said there, we do in some sort of form, whether that be with our proprietary tech or external tech, but likewise making sure that there's human elements to all of that. So you mentioned sourcing, for people out there, well, what does sourcing mean? In my world, it's people haven't applied, you've got to find them.
Yeah.
And we do use AI technology to help us find those people, and automatically.
Yeah.
But equally, sometimes the AI doesn't give you all the answers, so we make sure that we've got people who know incredibly bizarre tricks to find people that no one else can find. And that's through being intuitive. It's through trying different methods and not relying on the technology. I think the biggest thing, going back to it, is although we do all those things it's making sure that there's a consistent approach to it. I've got no problem with people doing things slightly different, because everyone is different in how they want to come, but making sure that the outcome is as top quality all the time. So I suppose making sure, as we do more things all the time, that consistency of top quality is always there.
It goes back to what you said, at the very beginning about the funnel. The funnel remains the same from 20 odd years ago. You know who you've got at each step. I suppose the difference now is that there are a lot of different types of technology, automations, AI, that we can see, oh, maybe that will help with this stage, or it will help with this. We test it, we see, does it affect the end result? Does it make this quicker? Does it bring our rates up higher? Does it, will it take people on to the next stage of the funnel quicker? If not, then they don't need to have it there, right? We do use the strategy that will allow this to run as smoothly as possible.
Time, cost, quality.
Yeah.
with the last one being arguably the most important.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's going on all the time. Even if it's working a treat with the AI, you know, you're constantly going, well, is there any sort of anything that's gone wrong with it, and comparing it to, you know, the human element, because there's a lot of talk out there, and quite rightly so, where they're saying AI can be discriminatory.
Yeah.
In some guys, you know, it's not a fair process by doing AI. Well, name me any human element which is 100% foolproof.
Yeah.
So it's finding a way through AI and human and testing it all the time
Yeah.
to make sure it's you know, in no way discriminating.
Yeah.
But please, those who say AI is discriminatory, subconsciously, because it's not a conscious.
Yeah.
So is humans.
Yeah.
Just, I think we had a talk about it today, where again, humans, quality assessing by humans all the way through it. But then there was a really telling sentence to say, one thing AI is going to give you is consistency. Could you say a human could be having a bad day,
Yeah.
could be really tired?
Stressed, tired,
They
hungry.
will naturally, subconsciously, you know, because we don't hire people who do it on purpose, but subconsciously, there may be an inconsistency with, say, what they did the day before.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bit of a strange comparison, but you know, it's like Eurovision. You know, like yeah, you're watching when you're watching Eurovision, and they'll say, oh, you know, the British team is second to last or it's first, so that's bad because you know people will remember this or won't remember that. But it's the same kind of thing, right? It's like,
Yeah.
you know, if you've got 100 applications to go through, naturally you're going to pay attention to maybe the first third, or you know, there gets a point where the person assessing them is going to get tired, or they're not quite sure if they're matching it on.
Yeah.
You know.
The application part of it is arguably the thing where AI should just be used, full stop. As long as it's tested over and over again for fairness.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to find a way. If you get 2,000 applications, you can't be asking a recruiter to go through every single one of those in a fair way. So there's got to be a scoring system.
Yeah.
Based on very, very good information going into what is required, constantly checking that there's no bias going on. But
Yeah.
and will it be 100% accurate? No. But it'll be considerably more accurate than if humans are doing it, and ultimately the time saved. You know, if you don't have that time saved, then the quality of stuff where humans 100% are needed is going to go downhill.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You know, Jared, going forward, you know, the next kind of period, you know, what does the future have in store for yourself and Amberjack?
Yeah, so we really want to build on what we're good at so far, which is incredibly good processes and technology. You know, we've got our own developers, we've got our own psychologists who have their own assessment stuff. We've got our own expert L&D people. You know, it's building on those products to move with the times, 100%. We do, like already mentioned, we do we're well known for early careers and volume recruitment. We do it for some incredibly big names out there.
Yeah.
But you know, there's huge transferables, and it's ultimately my background is to grow our capability with the technology and the great people we've got in the more experienced hires space. I'm not saying volume recruitment isn't experienced hires; it is in some way, but you know, just doing more across the board. So yeah, it's just improving everything, not taking anything for granted, and growing out our capability, because our capability is huge.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess the ideal people to reach out to you would be those companies that have grown, that found themselves to be bigger than maybe they expected, and need those kinds of time sensitive, big volume hires, quality relationships over time.
Yeah, look, I'm no massive salesperson. I just come at it from an operational point of view. Is anyone who wants to talk to me on whether they should outsource something or build an in-house function. Equally, of course, if there's just a little bit of a part of something that's going wrong, we offer certain scenarios, not just whole end-to-end recruitment. Of course, we do end-to-end recruitment. So, those are options. You've got an amazing in-house recruitment team, but there's just one bit of it that's wrong. You haven't got a great ATS or CRM. Well, we've got one of our own. Our online assessments or in-person assessments, don't think they're great. Well, we design and do that, and across the board, everything you could think of. But then equally, you're not getting the budget for a really good in-house recruitment team. There's countries or areas of the business that is just a bit tricky at the moment, or indeed, it's just best to outsource the whole lot and come to me, and I'll give you an honest opinion of what's best. Amazing,
brilliant. What are the best contact details to get you on, Jared?
So you can get me on jared.massey, so Jared, I know you can see it there, at weareamberjack.com. And phone number is 07479 682 862.
Amazing. I will put those contact details below. I would highly encourage anyone that has the need, that fits those that specification that Jared mentioned, definitely do reach out. It would be silly not to if you have the especially if you have the need. And Jared, amazing conversation. I want to kind of summarize a few of the thoughts that kind of stand out for myself. And really, I think the funnel, as you kind of you sort of visualized in my mind, that is as relevant 20 odd years ago as it is now. It hasn't changed, and that understanding the data, or understanding what happens at each stage, what is blocking each stage, what you need to do to strategize to get through each stage, whether you're hiring at massive volume or less, that is your bread and butter. So important. And it doesn't take away, when we talk about AI, from those high value conversations, those, as you've said, and I pretty much agree, AI cannot replace that. It cannot replace the rapport and the trust building that's built up in those conversations. But AI in recruitment, it can do a lot of other things, but they need to be tried and tested. And I guess, would you agree, Jared? It really depends on the niche that you work in, and in the specifics of what you're recruiting for.
Yeah, absolutely. Every situation is different. Every situation, even if it's the same type of business and same type of hiring, that business might be different than that. There's so many differentials, it's untrue. So you've got to really sit down and have a think, well, what's working well here and what's not working so well.
Yeah.
And then bring in the right people to advise. Don't just have your own opinion.
Yeah.
Bring in some candidates that you've hired. Bring in your recruiters. Bring in HR. Bring in the hiring manager, and see, what works well, what doesn't work so well, and then work out what you can do, because there will always be a solution to it, whether that's outsource, in-house, bit of technology, lots of technology, more people. Well, what sort of people? Every situation is going to be different, but the fundamentals definitely remain the same. Whether it's niche hiring, volume hiring, early careers hiring, there's got to be a nice blend of incredibly good processes, fantastic candidate experience, really good people who are involved in the hiring process, and the right technology.
Brilliant. That was very nicely summarised there, Jared. Thank you so much for joining today, Jared, and contributing to this discussion.
No worries. Well, thanks for the invite, James, and I will catch up with you soon, I'm sure.
Brilliant. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Please do like and share this video to get this message out across to as many people as possible. Thank you very much.
Cheers.